I greet you, citizens of the Republic of Belarus. Pavel Spirin is with you. Now I will tell you how the creatures living in the Vernment village of Drozdy have invented a new way to siphon millions of dollars from ordinary people across the country. They need this money to support themselves and their offspring, so that their offspring travel to America, Europe, and the Arab Emirates at budgetary expense. And our children and parents were thinking how to buy cheaper clothes and food. Moreover, some inhabitants of Thrush began to openly threaten with physical violence the young children of active people. So, bailiffs, by order of the Ministry of Justice, went so far as to threaten the young child of the famous public figure Vladimir Siganovich, who maintains a popular socio-economic blog about the problems of our country. Monsters. They frightened the child so much that in tears he brought them a piggy bank to give them his modest savings, if only they would not touch Dad. A certain Deputy Minister of Justice Andrei Avdeev is in charge of all the bailiffs of the country. I have a question for him. Andrei, was it you personally, or did someone else teach your subordinates to behave this way with young children? Citizen Lukashenka, maybe it was you who taught Andrei the subties of knocking out pseudo-debts? If this is so, then I want to remind you, in the life of a state there are war, peace, and so on. Doing any things with regard to young children of Belarusian citizens, remember. God knows what fate will do with the same Nikolai Lukashenka. What does it mean to bury, isn't he alive? Your problem, my responsibility. Bury. It all started a few years if before that Alexander Grigoryevich blamed America and Europe for all his troubles and failures. Now he to Russia for ensues, which for decades fed both him personally and his offspring. There is another organism on the planet Earth, which behaves almost the same as a citizen of Lukashenka. This creature is called Lomehuza. Lomehuza is a pest that lives off millions of other organisms. It lives in anthills. It all starts with the fact that, having reached maturity, the Lomehuza makes its way into such an anthill, to the place where life is concentrated. As soon as the warrior ants notice the Lomehuza, they try to get rid of it. But this cannot be done in a simple way. Why? Because the body of Lomehuza contains a drug that is secreted and intoxicates the brain of ants, making them weak-willed, controlled creatures that begin to voluntarily serve the existence of this enemy. But if the ants had to serve the interests of only one Lomehuza, it would be half the trouble. The scary thing is that, having settled in an anthill, this parasite begins to actively multiply. And the offspring of the Lomehuza from birth in the body contains the same drug that makes all ants work to maintain these Lomehuza. What happens to the anthill next? Over time, the Lomehuza becomes more and more, and the number of ants is less and less. As a resu, the anthill dies. Doesn't it look like anything? Of course it does. Citizen Lukashenka penetrated the country's leadership in 1994 and immediately began to actively use the state budget. But for the country it was not very difficult then, since in fact we only supported him and two teenagers Vidya and Dima. Then, like the Lomehuza, Vidya and Dima grew and multiplied. And Lukashenka finally friends and Kolya. Then the country's budget cracked for the first time, because now Belarus had to support not only Lukashenka and his grown-up sons with increased appetites, but also all the new relatives, the wives of Viti and Dima. And yet the country held out. What I will say now, I ask you to take it seriously. Since these are not jokes, but the future of our state. Citizen Lukashenka now has 17 palaces residences. And if he stopped, then we would have a chance. But the tragedy is that Lukashenka has 7 grandchildren and a son, Nikolai. These people will marry, muipli, and start feeding at our expense. And this means the construction of 8 more residences, security, cars, servants, own business. I'm not even saying that the country will have to support the numerous new relatives of Lukashenka's grandchildren. None of the country's budget can handle this. Here is citizen Lukashenka and pawns everything. Mortgages our elite lands to the Arab Emirates and China. Establishes our enterprise to oligarchs from Europe and Russia. Then all that remains is to lay down our children. Let's finally move on to the main topic of the video. I want to show you a specific working scheme. How the confidants of Alexander Grigoryevich openly forge documents and rat tens of millions of dollars from Belarusian citizens. Too much non-professional and political chatter. But the facts are as follows. And the facts, citizen Lukashenka, are as follows. Every year you issue a new decree on payment for FAT, which defines the maximum tariffs for payment of utility services by the population. You constantly shout proudly what kind of hero you are, that the population pays for utilities only a part, and the holy state in the form of you pays extra this amount for people. I will answer you not only as a citizen and a lawyer, I will answer as the chairman of one of the Minsk ZHSPK. You are either a liar yourself, or your ministers are lying. Since 2018, for most services related to payment for electricity, gas and other things, people are no longer paying 100%, but 150%, and this year 230%. Using electricity as an Excel, I want to show the whole country how inadequate decrees of citizen Lukashenka clean out the pockets of people all over the country. Since I want to show the whole scheme using an Excel of a whole year. Take the Decree 492, which sets tariffs for housing and communal services for the whole of 2019. This decree, like everything related to Lukashenka, is beautiful only from the outside, but inside it is just as rotten as the majority of Alexander Grigorevich's entourage. Let's finally see where the tens of uncontrolled millions of dollars come from in the Drozdov Fund. So, in Appendix 1 of this wonderful decree there are clauses 13 and 14. These clauses say that in 2019 you can take no more than 60 kopecks for lighting the entrances per month of a person, and no more than 66 kopecks for the electricity of the elevator. And then I want to cry out, Alexander Grigoryevich, you are God. No, even a little higher. Indeed, a person who does not understand laws and economics will think, so what is so bad about this decree? On the contrary, Lukashenka is a fine fellow. He set fair maximum tariffs, above which payments cannot be charged. Friends, have you forgotten where we live? This decree is ostentatious, like everyone else. And in practice, no one observes it. Now, I will show a SLE of charges for electricity using my Excel. ZHSPK in Minsk. Take a look at the diagram. Lukashenka's close associates consider it a genius. As for me, it was invented by stupid people. Every month, through the organization Enersbit, an amount is set for each house with people according to the tariffs set by Alexander Lukashenka. People, and part of the state. But no, most of the current apartment buildings are united in the so-called partnerships of owners or ZHSPK, and everything that the state does not add additional fat to people is charged. directly to the ZHSPK. That is. According to the documents, a tolerable amount is paid in, but in fact, almost the same amount is paid to people bypassing the amount of money. Now what exactly for the money on the Excel of a specific 3-entrance 125 apartment building? In December 2019, 416 rubles 88 kopecks were charged to our house for Zhirki, and, bypassing Jurovka, Enersbit added 359 rubles 72 kopecks to people. In total, since the beginning of 100% payment for services to the population, that is, since 2018. Our house has overpaid Enersbit about $4,000. The ZHSPK, according to which I made the calculation, is one of the smallest in the country. But I want to show the minimum amount that the Republican enterprise Minskiner concealed in the literal sense of the word. In Belarus, there are more than 10,000 comrade owners and ZHSPK. Of these, in direct violation of Lukashenko's decree on maximum tariffs, Enersbit steals about half. These are just over 5,000 houses. If we take the $4,000 that our house paid in muipli by 5,000 similar houses, we get $20 million in stolen net profit. It is impossible not to pay this money, as ZHSPK owns expensive premises worth $50,000 to $70,000. If you don't pay for electricity, Minskiner will sue these premises for itself. Have we contacted the Minsk City Prosecutor's Office? We contacted. We received an answer as if it was not written by a serious official, but by a child with the intelligence level of a 5th grader. Minskiner also gave us an answer that Lukashenko's decree on charging tariffs does not apply to them. I don't know where citizen Lukashenko recruits his staff. Apparently, he has a special nose for them. Moreover, Enersbit sent a new paper to our ZHSPK that from April 2020 we will pay another 50% more for electricity. In simple terms, according to Lukashenko's decree, for Excel, 100 rubles is charged for electricity on a house per month. And bypassing this decree, Enersbit charges another 90 rubles. And since April this year, Enersbit is aimed to charge us an additional 95 rubles. As I understand it, Kolya Lukashenko has a brother, whom the Belarusian people should now support. Alexander Grigorievich. Here I have voiced specific facts throughout the country, not rumors, not speculation, not a fake fabricated in Poland, but real things, confirmed by documents and hundreds of testimonies. All government agencies do not care about your decrees. Are you asking for specific names? Who is to blame? From the bulldozer. So, from the bulldozer? Here there should be a list of who came up with this bastard. Here. He is Gui. What? Plant it, or as always. At meetings almost every year you shout at officials that you will put them in jail if they take money from the population in the wrong way. Citizen Lukashenko, you must understand that. You have not been respected for a long time, not only ordinary citizens, but also your officials are not listening and not afraid. Everyone understood that your shouting at the officials is a show for the camera. There is only one reason, the government's apathetic attitude to the president's order. Grumble, then yawn and either to play hockey or to the match. Therefore, no one is afraid of these threats. Because for 25 years of reign you have not put anyone serious in jail. And if they did, it was only when they stole from your loved ones. It is sinful to steal from your own people. Citizen Lukashenko, elections in a few months. I partially understand you. If you Lose your position, you will simply not be able to find food. I can't stay without food! Where am I going to eat? You have not prepared a successor for yourself, since most of your environment is legally and economically illiterate fools, or spineless sycophants, who, if they have any knowledge, simply cannot apply it. Since they have no willpower. You cannot be the president yourself, since everyone has turned their backs on you, the people of Belarus, and Russia, and Europe, and even your entourage. Leave peacefully in yourself, otherwise I have a bad feeling. Many citizens of Belarus believe that you should be tried in accordance with Article 24 of the Constitution. How there is still hope that the coronavirus will do for our people what the opposition has not been able to do. In 25 years. Leave as yes and left. It will be too late in a year.